It's top of the hour, so let's get started. I want to honor your time because time is money. And just by being here, I want you to know that you're taking ownership of your business success. And today I'm going to explore the ways that you can craft a perfect document organizing system, right? That's what we all want. You're going to learn how to organize, optimize your file retention strategies, know when to get rid of them and how long to keep them, where to find them, where they're there, and also how to get more done each day with less stress. There's nothing more stressful, in my opinion, than not being able to find what you know you have, but you don't know where the heck it is. And as I like to say, I'm going to help you turn your chaos into cash. And today's the day that you get to begin. So to start out with, turn off your bells, beepers, whistles, any distractions so you can focus right now because it's a very super quick. I only have a half hour. I'm going to try to be right on time. Let's see if it'll work. Wish me luck with that. And then later in this presentation, I'm going to show you how you can amplify your efforts, get things done faster than you'd ever thought before. So let's get going. So I have a quick question for you. How much time would it take to find all the receipts you need for a tax audit? What do you think? Type in chat. Would it take 30 minutes? Would it take an hour? Would it take a half a day, full day? How much time? If I were to say, hey, you're getting audited tomorrow for 2 years ago tax return, how long would it take you to get those receipts? No one's chatting. Well, if you were like the majority of clients that I've helped in the past, it would take a couple days. And when you have your documents organized, you're not going to be left in the lurch finding things you need when you need them, because there's nothing more stressed out or stressful than trying to find things you need when you need them, especially during a tax audit. So today I'm going to show you how to create order inside your documents using better folder naming conventions. And the goal of this session, as you know by the title, turn your digital mess into streamlined success. Now, I'm certain that you know that nothing zaps your productivity like a cluttered digital workspace. You waste hours every single week when you can't find the file you need quickly, when you need it. And so here's the thing. If you want to take a minute right now, grab a piece of paper and a pen, because it's going to help you in a little bit. Go ahead and grab some writing devices. One of my clients was having a challenge as well, and he wrote this in a Yelp review. Kathy's helped me get more organized, in fact, more than I would have ever dreamed. She's innovative in using tools you already had that you thought might not be useful, hence the paper and pen. She also has great business marketing ideas. I highly recommend her. Now, if she had known me in full transparency, she said that if you have few misplaced receipts and filed tax extensions, if she didn't have that, she could have gotten her refunds a lot sooner. She actually had refunds, but she didn't have the receipts or anything to back it up to actually do her tax returns. Is this sounding familiar to anybody? Yeah, probably. So I don't know how much you know about me. I've been on the path. So years ago, I was a licensed ocean boat operator and I delivered yachts and I lived out of a duffel bag. And I remember distinctly being in the Gulf Stream, thinking about everything back in my apartment, realizing that nothing made any sense to me. Like I didn't need any of it. Like I had one thing that I wanted. So I'd get back to shore and I'd purge. Years later, I became a travel writer and I was living out of a suitcase 42 weeks a year. Again, I had the clarity to know that I didn't need the stuff that was there, and I go home and purge. Now, flash forward a few years, I ended up moving to San Diego, and I met this woman, and she had a year off. I had a year off to kind of reinvent myself as well. And she was on a healing journey, and we became really fast friends. I went to her house one day, and she was surrounded by all this stuff. And I'm like, girlfriend, you are never going to heal if you don't let go of some of this stuff. There's no way you don't have any possibility to healing when you're surrounded by stuff. And so I helped her purge. And I was really good at it because guess what? I've been doing it in my past lives before. And this is way before I even knew what a professional organizer was, right? That's kind of the interesting part of it. And so she said, you should become a professional organizer. Well, flash forward, I ended up becoming one of the first board certified professional organizers in the world. I was in the inaugural class. What that means is I had to have 1,500 hours of paid time. I had to take a 42 book exam, and I still have to continue doing CEOs. Well, that's all besides itself. What I wanted to tell you is this: early in my career, I was blessed. Good Morning America actually found me and wanted to feature me as a successful woman business startup business. That was even before I had my first book published. That was pretty cool. So after that, I got picked up by all the media. You know how it goes. And I'm not saying this to toot my horn or whatever. I just know that when I'm taking training and when I'm taking, learning from a mentor, I want to know that that person is qualified. So that's all I'm saying about that. Been there, done that. I'm 20 years into it at this point, believe it or not. Okay, enough about me. Okay, the goal of this session is to help you begin to understand how to organize your files. Today, you're going to learn how to create a folder system that makes sense and saves you time. You're going to apply naming rules that let you find what you need when you need it. And most importantly, you're going to stop wasting 4 hours every single week searching for things you own. That's the average. If you're an entrepreneur, the average entrepreneur wastes 4 hours a week trying to find things that they know that they own, but they can't find. And also, of course, I'm going to reduce your stress by eliminating the unnecessary digital clutter. Okay, you're going to have to be diligent on this. I'm going to show you how to do it, but then I can't delete your files, so you're going to be the one that gets to go get in and do all that, right? I love Eleanor Roosevelt. She served as a first lady in the US from 33 to 45. She was an instigator of social change, and she had a seemingly endless supply of optimism, pragmatism, stubbornness, steady, and ceaseless effort, right? She profoundly changed the role as the women who followed her. And she said it this way: it takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. So let's take some action. The goals of a digital file system, there should be three kind of overarching goals for your file system, right? We want to make it easy to file, easy to find, and reusable. Okay. You want a logical folder structure, one that reflects how you think about your work and how you remember things. So everything that I create with each client it's always different, because you're all different. You think different things. You call the same thing 50 names. Okay. Type in chat what you would call a digital file. And I bet you that all you who type in chat, you're going to have different names. That's the whole thing about this. So there's nothing cookie cutter, but I'm going to give you the guidelines to actually create the system, how you're going to understand it and remember it. I want it to be easy to file. Okay, you don't want your filing system be huge hierarchical maze, right? You want it to be fast and easy and save files so your system doesn't cause friction with your brain and with your mouse. I want it to be easy to find. Okay, you want a system to make it easy to find the file or folder you need, either by poking through folders or using search. And I want it to be reusable. Whenever possible, you want to use reusable templates and naming conventions, because both of these will support your previous two goals, right? Effectively following these steps. So you're going to develop naming guidelines. Now you want to consider categorizing by project, client, date, or type of document, right? So you need to make a decision. Are you going to do it by project? Are you going to do it by client? Are you going to do it by date? Are you going to do it by type, right? How are you going to, what's your choice? So I say choose one. Librarians who manage a large digital collections use consistent, meaningful, descriptive names to identify what's in each file. If you follow suit, you're going to be amazed at how much easier it is to track down the specific files and photos when you need them. Now, if you find unnamed documents, you want to designate a naming structure such as descriptive words, right? So a descriptive word type of a document is client notes from January 15th, noon. Okay, so if I can't find something, worse, if I decide to go by the date, right? I would know what day it was, where what it was called, and I could find that person's information. Because I could go to my calendar and say, hey, I met Sarah during this session at noon on today. Then I could look for also Sarah in the document. I could also look at the date and time. So you have to kind of decide what you want to call it. Take, for instance, this file, if you're taking notes on this, could be named digital decluttering training, right? There's not going to be a there's not going to be any you're not going to misunderstand, basically, is what I'm saying. If you call it digital decluttering training or computer file saving, or however you think about it, you're going to be able to find that file faster, quicker, easier. Okay, so don't skip the step of developing some naming guidelines. You're going to have your own naming guidelines. Okay, back to it. Are you doing it by name? Are you doing it by topic? Are you doing it by date? Are you doing it by client? Choose one and be consistent with that. Okay, that's super important. So I'd like you to consider how you organize your files in a new way. You can decide that you're going to designate categories, right? So what you do is you go through your files and emails and determine the major and the minor categories that they would fall into. For instance, you might be able to divide your documents into client files, projects, tax archives, personal records, right? So if you go into your email and you go into your files, you're going to see a giant hierarchical thing of which you've done and what you have the most of, and you're going to create what I call buckets of information. So within these categories, so you come up with your main categories, right? Whatever works best for you. And then within those categories, of course, you're going to have subcategories, okay? And the subcategories are going to be things that fit within the category, but not quite. I need to get it, narrow it down even more, okay? So you don't need to go. That's just one of my clients. Okay, at this point in time, you're asking yourself, wow, this sounds great, but how much time will it take me to organize all my files? Here's the thing. It takes time to make time. Now, what I can tell you, every hour you spend organizing your files, you're going to save 10 hours later. 10 hours, okay? So 1 hour equals 10. My client, Michael Gerber, the guy who wrote the E-Myth, he said it this way: for every how did he say it? For every hour that you spend in perspiration, you save 10 hours in preparation. I'm sorry, vice. 1 hour in perspiration, 10 hours in preparation. No, I get that wrong every single time. You know what I'm saying? If you prep, you save time, basically. So you really need to spend time right now figuring out how are you going to name your files. You need a strategy, okay? You want to name your file folder strategically. One of our goals for organizing our files is I want it to be really easy to find. I want it to be easy to find. A key way to accomplish this is by putting some thought into how you name your folders and files. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, okay? So don't get complicated, don't get crazy, don't start drilling down. You want an easy naming of files by keeping in your mind your future self. Now, think about this. Here's what I mean by your future self. Try to imagine the circumstance in which you'll need a file and which words you're likely to use when you're trying to find it. Think about saving a phone bill. Okay. Do you think of it as a phone bill? Do you think phonebill.pdf would be a good name? Probably not. How about July phone bill? Not any better. So when you're naming that phone bill, think about what you might be looking for, probably by date. I want the January 2024 phone bill by T-Mobile. Okay. By the top of document, I want a phone bill. So a good name would allow you to look at the files in a folder right away and see what the file is without opening it. Okay. It would give you things to search in the name. So if you had a good file name, it could be 2024 T-Mobile bill, 2024 January T-Mobile bill. See what I mean? That way I could find it. Because I'd probably be looking for T-Mobile. I'd probably be looking for January. I'd probably be looking for the year, right? And save it that way. Now, the same concept's going to apply to your folders. It's not helpful to have a bunch of folders called invoices inside other folders. right? Does this make sense? So ABC Core Bib Voices, even if it is inside a Master ABC Core folder, you want to be able to find it later and use it later, right? So it makes it much faster and easier to get it with the keyboard if you use this naming convention. So it could be ABC Corporation, and then within that, ABC Corp phone bills. Within that, January T-Mobile 2024, February T-Mobile 2024. Is this making sense to everybody? It's got to make sense. No, I'm going super fast. But the most important tactic is to be consistent. Okay. And in order to be consistent, you really need to think through how you're going to name your files and stick to it. Right. So your naming convention could be using dates. It could be using project names or any other identifier that makes it easy to understand what's inside of it. You want to be able to look at a folder and know what's inside of that folder without having to open it. Same applies. You want to be able to open up a file. You want to be able to look at a file name and know what it is without opening it. That's the whole key. You don't want to have to open. Oh, no, that's not it. Open. Oh, no, that's not it. Then you have all these open files, which you probably didn't close because you were in a tizzy, right? So you want to make sure that you can know what it is before you open it. That's like a huge guideline. When I work with clients to help them set up an ideal file system, it always begins with where they are right now. And that's where I want you to start. So let's do a mini session around this so that you can begin to get clarity around your situation. Here's how you can start. I want you to pull out a blank sheet of paper. I told you to get that pen and paper, right? I want you to brainstorm by writing down the categories that you're currently using, if you are using any categories. Okay, write them down. Write down those categories. Okay, is it clients, project, bills? What is it? Like, what are your categories? That's your homework. That's your work to do right now. Okay. After you do that, your homework is I want you to track any file you wasted time trying to find and see if it was in one of those categories, or is it some other rando thing that should have been put in another category? This is the only way that this is going to work. You want to start with what you're doing right now, what you have things named right now, like write them all down right now. Okay, your main things, how you're saving things. Then I want you to keep that sheet in front of you this week as you work through the entire week and see if any of your files that you've created can fit into those buckets. And if so, I want you to put them in those buckets. And if not, you need to find another bucket that works. Now, when you're creating buckets, which is what I call, giant file folders, right? You want them to be as generic as possible at the top. And then it gets narrow and narrow and narrow as far as your naming convention. So hopefully this is making sense to you, okay? But as you find things, I want you to write down what you called it and why wasn't it in a file folder. Generally, things aren't in file folders because you don't have the proper file folder title, or you don't even have that file folder, or it doesn't make any sense, okay? So you're going to start making sense of where you're putting things and what you're calling them. And again, you're going to do it by either name, date, category, so on and so forth. Now, you're going to make the folders, okay? So I want you to start with the files in your desktop. Is always a great place to start. Look at the files in your desktop and see if there's any big categories that work for you, okay? And once you've determined the categories and subcategories you want to use for each type of file, you're going to make folders and then subfolders within. So you have to have that general hierarchy, right? So go on who here has a messy desktop? Put yes in chat. Come on, guys. I know you have a messy desktop. Who has a messy desktop? What I mean by messy is you have over like 10 files on your computer. Right now, I have a very messy desktop, I have to admit. I just came out of another training program and I have like 10 documents that need to be put somewhere that did not go anywhere. That's going to happen right after this session. So we all have messy desktops, right? Yeah, Cindy. Yeah, Tammy. I know. Everybody does, right? So what you want to do with that messy desktop is start thinking about what are the categories? What are this overarching stuff that I can put? Can I start categorizing all these things on my desktop into buckets? right? Start making file folders on your desktop and scooting things into them. Now, if you have to open it to find out what it is, make sure before you close it, you name it to something that makes sense. Okay, so if you have to open it, rename it so that you know what the heck it is, and then put it in a folder that makes sense. Okay. If you don't have any folders, files on your desktop, congratulations. And if you don't, then really, it's time then to get into your hard drive, because I know your hard drive is probably a mess too, right? So start wherever you can and start figuring this out. Now, here's the thing. You don't want to over nest. Over nesting means that you have folders within folders within folders within folders, right? You don't want to do that. The general perfect thing is to have one giant bucket with folders across it and not very many folders within each folder, okay? Because then it gets a little bit crazy. And it's something I have a tendency to do, is to overnest, and it does not serve me at all. I'm better to have a big bucket, little sprinkle buckets, and not go down into drip buckets. Because if you have too many nested levels, it makes it difficult to locate a file, and you get confused. And so when you're creating folders, think minimal. Okay. Most files can fit somewhere in your hierarchy if you've done a good job initially mapping it out, right? You have to take that first step to figure it out for yourself, what makes sense. In general, you only want to create new folders if you find yourself repeatedly coming back to the same files in the same place, only to find out that it doesn't exist, right? You'll know when that happens that it's time to create another level in the hierarchy, rather than just going ahead and creating a vast, extensive, multi-layered tree before you even need it. I've been there, done that, doesn't work. So don't start making things that you think you need. I want you to start making things that you know you need using the files on your desktop. And if you get that done, then you go into the files in your hard drive, and you're going to get a really good overview of your brain and the way it thinks by the way you save things. And that's going to allow you to organize. But you've got to have that overall idea of your nomenclature before you even get started. Okay. And don't start nesting like I love to do. I love to micromanage. So, okay. Now, a good part of being organized is also deciding where your files will live. Because once your files are named and sorted, you get to make that decision, right? Where will you have your backups for your files? Choose one strategy and keep it simple, okay? Make sure one of these places is in the cloud. Okay, don't have everything backed up on an external hard drive. It's just not the way of the world right now. You want to have cloud-based technology. And I'll tell you what, whether it's iCloud, Google Cloud, Dropbox, all the Dropbox isn't as easy these days. iCloud, Google Cloud are my two favorite places because it's really quick and simple to access things. But you definitely want to have some type of cloud-based storage, and it's cheap. I mean, I think I pay, gosh, at my highest, $3.99 a month for my iCloud storage, right? So it's nothing, it's minimal, right? What is that? $48 a year to store my stuff. And I know it's safe. And the thing that I like about the cloud is that if I have internet, I can access myself anywhere in the world. As long as I have Wi-Fi, I can get anything that I need. I don't have to worry about things getting lost or having a hard drive that breaks. Okay. Now I have entirely another masterclass that's going to talk about digital versus cloud versus all that. In fact, I'm creating right now a Google Suites mastery course. That'll be 6-week intensive. That's going to show you how to use Google Suites and Google Drive and Google Cloud and Google Calendar and all that good stuff, because Google's really the way of the world right now. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be the top of the pile for a very long time. Anyhow, I digress. Make sure that you have your stuff in a cloud somewhere. You can use an external hard drive, but they're clunky, bunky, and they oftentimes fail. Okay. So you can get your files organized where you can find everything within you need within 30 seconds. It is possible. I know it's possible because I do this all the time with my clients and with myself. So, but you have to spend the time. Again, you have to take the time to make the time, right? So you have to step back, figure out your overall naming convention, and then get to it. It's time to create for yourself peace of mind around where your documents are quickly and with less stress. I call this having destination peace of mind, right? Because decluttering, organizing, and secure your digital data can be a big task, especially if you haven't dealt for a while. However, your efforts are absolutely going to pay off. You're not only going to keep your computer and devices running well and smoothly and fast, you're likely going to enjoy greater productivity and greater peace of mind. So if you take the time to make the time, you're going to have destination peace of mind. One thing I've discovered after 20 years of working with clients is that everybody needs accountability. Now, we all say, yeah, we're good on our own. I'm going to do it, Kath, but are we really? Right? I know that I personally need support, which is why I hire coaches. I have 2 coaches right now to help me keep focused and on track. Plain and simple, masters hire masters. And you'll never ever meet a super successful person who hasn't called on other people to help them grow. Just doesn't happen. We all hire other people to help us. So, and it helps to have an accountability partner. And I created the Get It Done office hours, power hours, specifically because my clients kept saying, but Kath, I need accountability in between our sessions. I need someone to like kick me in the butt and keep me accountable. So I really care about your development. I care about you to make sure that you're doing what you want to do. If you're totally serious about getting your files organized, which you must be because you're here, right? Then I'm here to support you. And I'm here to give you advice and guide you on your journey. And guess what? It's 2025. It's time to up level your productivity and create more cash. Like the more productive you are, the more cash you make. So what I'm doing right now is twice a month, 12 months every single year, my door is going to be open for you for open office power hours. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I only did that because due to client demand, they said they want accountability, so they get accountability. It's designed specifically to help you increase your momentum, stay focused and accountable and on track. And the best part is that you're surrounded by other people on the same track. So energy creates even more energy. And during our bi-monthly power hours, they increase your momentum. They help you stay focused. They help you stay accountable and on track. And every month we check in twice, 2 hours a month to see how you're doing. During that time, everybody checks in, says what they're going to do. And I provide specific insights and help additional training and additional cheat sheets for everybody, depending on what they're working on. Because what's happening right now is I have all these people who are working on different projects, which is great. It doesn't matter. But you've now devoted 2 hours a month to getting stuff done, basically. One of my clients just said, having the weight of my clutter being lifted from me is huge. She is a really successful graphic design artist. And, she just thought it was insurmountable to wade through her files and her piles. And when she was able to do that and she opened up the space, things really got flowing. She actually created a font called the Daily font, which is pretty darn cool, right? So she became productive and focused. So what happens with this power hour? It's ongoing training. Okay. I have, as a power hour member, you get access to my course. You choose your track, either home organizing or home office organizing. Twice a month, we meet for an hour and you have direct access to me. That's what people really wanted, was a direct access in a group setting where they can ask me questions. And I'm right there to answer questions, provide guidance, provide motivation. We work on Google Sheets together on things that are going to do. And one of my clients says she doesn't feel as overwhelmed as before because she knows what she wants to, what she's going to do, and she stops being distracted. And so she always said, I'm always distracted and I put things on hold because I don't have time. Now I have time because 2 hours a month, I'm getting stuff done. I almost called it the get it shit done thing, but I named it power hour. Anyhow, so you surround yourself with like-minded people. You learn strategy. So you get my best-selling book and you get the accompanying online course that you can study on your own. And you have lifetime access to that course as well. And then 2 hours a month, you're saying, I'm going to work on getting organized 2 hours a month. And I'm there. It's the first and third Tuesdays of every month. So what you get for this, you get the Kickstarter course, the home office organization course. It's 11 modules of video tutorials, worksheets, checklists, all that good stuff. It sells for $500 normally, but it's part of becoming a Power Hour member. And then also the course goes through everything that I teach my entrepreneurs, right? How to focus on goals, how to create system to track priorities, how to get your documents located, how to do time management, how to uplevel your productivity, so on and so forth. Videos, tutorials, worksheets. You get that. Then you get my book, which also kind of mirrors that. Okay, if you're a reader, you get the actual book, ebook itself, so that you can read as you go with the course. And here's the thing: this book wasn't an Amazon bestseller for no reason. There's really not any fluff in here. It's like all strategies. And one of my readers said, "How to Master Your Muck's outstanding resource. It not only helps you organize and simplify, it helps you transform it into being an enjoyable kind of task," right? If you can say task or enjoyable. And then you get me 2 hours every month, and that's worth $600. So as a member of the Power Hour, you get an increased focus, you know, the steps to take, you get to cross off your tasks, you take control of your business basically, and you finish projects that until now seem like they never get done. And you actually have control of your business. Now, normally it's $97 a month, and you get the training, you get the modules, you get the book, you get me, you get all that good golly stuff. But hey, this is Get Organized Month. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but NAPO, the National Association of Professional Organizers, NAPO, it's our Get Organized Month. It's called Go Month. So it's January, and it's time to go, 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 go towards your dreams. So because of that, well, the total value of what you get is a little under $1,500. Because of that, you get it for $7. $7. So unbelievable, huh? So the question is, where do you want to be with your goals? And for the next few days, I'm offering this Get Organized special for $7. You can get in for $7. The next class starts next Tuesday. The next Power Hour is next Tuesday, and it runs for an hour. It's always the first and third Tuesdays of every single month, 1 p.m. Pacific. Okay. So you get the Power Hour. You get, as a member, you get to access it into this portal. In the portal, you get the book, you get the training, you get the schedule, you get the calendar. And then during the Power Hour members, you actually get a doc that you start working on your priorities and what you're doing. And we do check marks. It's a Google Doc, all that good stuff. It's really nice. So you get it for $7. So this is the time to say bye-bye to procrastination, say bye-bye to overwhelm, say bye-bye to missed opportunities, because this is your way to get things done. And I'm more accessible than I've ever been during the Power Hour. I mean, I've never done this before. I opened it up last year, and it's going gangbusters. So the first month's only $7. After that, it's $97. You get me 2 hours every single month. If you love it, you keep in it. If you hate it, there's no contract. Doesn't really matter. Just jump in, get started. There's zero reasons not to get started and doing it. My friend, Dave, well, he's my client now. He's my friend. Says it this way, you know, if you want to get more time, more organizing, and a more powerful system of dealing with your day-to-day operations of your biz, streamline your systems, I can help you do that. So the first 2 action takers will get a private one-on-one 1 hour session with me to jumpstart. And I like doing that because that allows me to really get in your mind and figure out where you can start first, second, third. So the first 2 people that take up on this are going to get a 1 hour session with me on top of all the other things, on top of my 2 hours a month, this group, my course, my book, so on and so forth. And that's a big value as well. So think about 6 months from now, and you didn't take action. Do you think you're going to be where you are right now? I would wager that you're going to be less good off than where you are. You're going to be more confused than where you are right now, unless you go ahead and take action right after this and create your nomenclature and create your systems and start getting organized. But I know how life goes. I know that as soon as we get off of this call, things are going to happen. You're going to jump and you're not going to do it. So if you take action 6 months from now, you're going to be really in control. Take the New Year's Eve special for $7. You can scan the code, or you can go to bit.ly, join Power Hour, and jump in. Next Tuesday is the next one. So it's never too late to get started. $7 is all it takes to get going.